Today we've got the first look at the Pixel Fold 2, and it's a little bit different to what we first thought. Before we get started though, let me know in the comments who out there is excited for the Pixel Fold 2, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech. So first up, before we get into the new reveal, we've got plenty of confirmations on the specs of the Pixel Fold 2, and it's getting some big upgrades from the original Pixel Fold. For a start, it looks like Google are going to be skipping the Tensor G3 for the Fold 2, and it's going to be powered up by the upcoming Tensor G4 chipset, which is great news. We get an upgrade to 16GB of DDR5 RAM, up from the predecessor's 12GB, and we also get an upgrade to UFS 4 storage with a choice of 256 or 512GB. Now, Google's focus at the moment seems to be on AI features within Android, and the Pixel Fold 2 is going to be no different. We've already got plenty of useful features on the Pixel like Circle to Search and Best Take, and there's no doubt that Google are working on even more to save you time in your day-to-day life. Now, another great way to save time is with today's video sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers meals straight to your door, but instead of just sending you a ready meal, you receive all the pre-portioned, fresh ingredients along with a recipe card to actually make it yourself. It takes the hassle out of shopping and cooking, as you don't have to find the recipe and then go to a shop to get the ingredients. Instead, you just head over to their website, select the meal you want, and that's it. They've got a wide range of meals to choose from to suit any preference or diet, and for me, it's a great solution as I'm always short on time, so I never find the time to pick a recipe and head to the shop. But thanks to HelloFresh, I can still enjoy home-cooked meals without all the hassle. Best of all, they've provided me with a discount code, so you can either scan the QR code here or click the link that I've placed down in the description below and use the discount code ANDY2024, and this is going to give you 60% off your first box and then 20% off for the next 2 months, plus some free gifts. So if you want to save some time and money and have some fresh meals delivered to your door, then go ahead and check out HelloFresh now. So now back to the Pixel Fold 2, and a couple of weeks ago I showed you these renders that I created to give you a good look at the design, and it appears that they were pretty accurate, although not 100%. OnLeaks and SmartPre have teamed up and given us these new renders in a 360 video, along with a lot more confirmations on the device. When it comes to these early leaks, OnLeaks has proved himself time and time again, so we can take these leaks as pretty accurate. Now, the main difference from these and the renders I showed you last week is on the inner display. I showcased a full screen device which is the same as with OnLeaks renders, but with OnLeaks renders we have 2 sensors inside the inner display. Now, if you read the report, however, it appears that these are just for illustration in the renders, and the actual sensors will be under the display. There's no confirmation on what the second sensor is for just yet, but as soon as we get any more details, I'll be updating you guys straight away. The report also confirms that on the main camera module, the new 4th sensor that we've got there is to assist with focusing, and the report also gives us the dimensions. When unfolded, the Pixel Fold 2 is going to be 155.2 by 150.2 by 5.27mm, which means it's larger than the predecessor and also thinner, and we also have confirmation it's going to be an aluminium frame. Now, the new Tensor G4 powering the Pixel Fold 2 has already appeared on Geekbench 6, and we now know that it's an 8-core CPU cluster along with ARM's Immortalis G715 GPU. LeakerConnor tweeted to say that the Tensor G4 was actually based on the Exynos 2400, but that appears to be incorrect given that they've got different CPU configurations, and the early benchmarks are showing low scores that are in fact lower than the Tensor G3, but this is of course very early and it won't be the case by final release. Either the benchmark isn't real, or it's just a very early stage benchmark and it needs to undergo a lot more optimization before the final release. But regardless, when it comes to the Tensor G4, we know from previous releases it's going to be a perfectly capable chipset and great for AI, but it's not going to be as powerful as the latest Snapdragon when it comes to raw CPU performance. According to the OnLeaks report as well as a few other sources, the Pixel Fold 2 is going to be revealed at Google's I/O event, which is scheduled for the 27th of June, although many sources believe that the device will be shown at the event, but the actual release is going to be much later on. Because it's getting the upgrade to the Tensor G4, it's believed that it could actually launch alongside the Pixel 9 series, which is expected to be in October, but at the same time, manufacturers do tend to try and stagger their releases a bit so that they don't compete with themselves, but as soon as we get any more solid information on this, I'm going to update you guys straight away. Now for those excited for the Pixel Fold 2, we're now going to run through the full specs, design, and the expected pricing to help you guys decide if it is worth the wait. For my regular viewers, you guys have seen this, so just skip to the next video, but if you're new here, then hit subscribe now and we'll get right into it. So with the Pixel Fold 2, we're expecting something around a 6.5-inch cover display. It's going to be a 120Hz OLED display protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and of course the peak brightness is unknown at the moment, but we're expecting something around 2000 nits. We're also expecting an increase in the internal display size thanks to the new form factor, and I estimate we're going to get a 7.9-inch 120Hz foldable OLED with a peak brightness of around 2000 nits. We of course get two selfie cameras on the Pixel Fold 2. We've got one on the cover display and then one on the inside display. We're hoping to see an upgrade to a 10.5 megapixel selfie camera for the cover display, and there are a few rumors floating around of an under-display camera on the inside. When it comes to the rear cameras, we're expecting a 50 megapixel wide angle as the primary camera, with multi-zone laser autofocus, dual pixel phase detect autofocus, and optical stabilization. For the ultra-wide, we're expecting a 48 megapixel camera with dual pixel phase detect autofocus, and then for the telephoto, we're expecting a 48 megapixel with optical image stabilization and 5x optical zoom. There is of course a fourth sensor, and we don't know exactly what it is at the moment, but it's likely to be a time of flight sensor or a temperature sensor. It's going to be powered by the new Tensor G4 chipset from Google. While it doesn't have the raw CPU performance of the latest Snapdragon chipset, it's still a perfectly capable chipset, and it's great for AI performance. We get 16GB of DDR5 RAM along with a choice of 256, 512 or even 1TB of storage, and this will be UFS 4. And then when it comes to the battery, we're estimating something around 5000 mAh battery, and while fast charging is still currently unknown, it will support wired and wireless charging. We of course get 5G, Bluetooth 5.3, ultra-wideband and Wi-Fi 7, and it's going to be shipping with the latest version of Android 15. It's expected to launch around $1,800, and it's likely going to be delayed this year to launch alongside the Pixel 9 series in October. So overall, the Pixel Fold 2 is looking like a big change from its predecessor, with a big upgrade to the chipset and a major overhaul on the design. Now to be honest, the Pixel Fold 1 was a great form factor and I really liked using it, but the design as a whole just seemed a bit more of a prototype. Now the Pixel Fold 2 however changes all of that, and Google are no doubt working hard on the software to make it as optimized as possible for the new form factor, which should be much easier with this new aspect ratio, and I'm really looking forward to the Pixel Fold 2. Now of course, Google are not good at keeping anything secret, so we're no doubt going to get more and more leaks come flooding in, and I'm going to be sharing them as soon as they do, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing in the future.